Hello again, Algebra 1, here with another lesson on rational expressions. We are going to just dive right in. Should be a lesson 11-4 in the textbook, page 698 to 700. If you want to go there to get some extra resources, we're going to be multiplying and dividing rational expressions today. Okay, so here the goal is to learn how to multiply and divide rational expressions. That's all we're trying to do today. Multiplying and dividing rational expressions is essentially the same as multiplying and dividing fractions. It's pretty much the same steps, the same process, and you'll see that here as we start doing it, okay? So here's a little pictorial example. If you want to just see it in a standardized way, basically you're able to just multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators, and you get yourself an answer, okay? That is the basic. In this example here, there is nothing to cross-cancel or reduce, but the examples I'm going to show you are going to be more likely what you're going to see on the tests and quizzes. So let's go. All right, so here's an example of multiplication. So here the problem, we've got r squared times x over 9t to the power of 3. All of that multiplied by 3t to the power of 4 over r. Okay, so here our first step is to cross cancel. And if you remember cross cancellation from when you were using this in elementary, when you were doing fractions multiplication, it's really the same way. Whatever is common from the top left to the bottom right, and whatever is common from the bottom left to the top right, we want to cancel those out. Okay, so you see here we've got a couple of things that are common, more than a couple. Okay, r is common. In the top left we've got r squared, and then we've got r. So what we could do, we could spread it all out, but I think you guys are about at the level where you could see, okay, if I take out r, I'm going to be left with just one r if this is r squared, okay? And the same here, okay, we've got 3 and 9. You guys remember how to cross cancel 3 and 9? You would be left with 1 and 3. And if you've got t to the 4th, and you're cross canceling with t to the power of 3, well, all of those 3 are going to be gone, and you're just going to be left with 1t, okay? And x has nothing to cancel with, so it's going to stay the same. So see here, you're left with r, 1, and t, and then the x is obviously still here. And then down here, you're left with 3 and 1. Okay, so our next step is to simplify, or to really, combine these. Obviously, we're multiplying everything that's left. You've got r, x, 1, and t in the numerators, and 3, 1, and 1 here in the denominators. So we're left with r, x, t over 3. That's it, okay? Pretty simple, straightforward. We've just got to cross cancel when we're multiplying and simplify. And then that way we can have a pretty small product here, okay? Let's get another example of multiplication that's maybe one other step, okay? We're going to look at one that includes factoring. So we've got multiplication here of some monomials, a binomial, and a trinomial, okay? So we've got a lot going on, but all we need to do is break it down into its base factors, and we're going to do great, okay? So here we've got a plus 4 over a squared times a over a squared plus 2a minus 8. All right, so our first step in this situation is to factor. So anything that can be factored, we want to factor it, all right? Really, the only thing that can be factored here is this trinomial. We factor this into a plus 4 times a minus 2. All right, the rest stays the same. Our next is to cross cancel. So do you see the common factors already? I hope you do. All right, cross canceling, we're going to have this right here, a plus 4 and a plus 4 are diagonally across from each other. They're going to cancel out. And then you've got 1a by itself up here in the numerator on the top right, and then a squared in the bottom left. That's going to leave you with just an a. So it'll be 1 over a times 1 over a minus 2. All right? When we simplify, we just put that together. We multiply what's left, and we get 1, because 1 times 1 is 1. And then on the denominator, we have a times a minus 2. Now, here you could separate this out. You could distribute this a into this a minus 2. You don't have to. If you do, it's not going to be wrong, and I'm not going to mark it wrong. But this is just simple right here, simplified. We don't need to do that. That way, it'll be easier to work with whenever we solve for a. But we're not doing that today, okay? All right, on to dividing. Multiplying and dividing rational expressions is, again, it's pretty much the same as multiplying and dividing fractions. So when you divide, all we do is we take the reciprocal of the second rational expression and we multiply it. That's what we do instead of division. And really simply, you take the second, you flip it, and then you multiply. It's that simple. It's nothing unique or different than whenever you're multiplying fractions. It really is not. But I'll show you one example just so that you have one. All right, we've got 4 over 15n to the third power divided by 12 over 25n. We flip the second fraction, so we flip it, or we use the reciprocal of it, and it would be 4 over 15n to the power of 3 times 25n over 12. Okay, so we just flip that second one. We do the same process as with multiplication. We cross cancel. So we've got here 4 and 12. Those are going to cross cancel a little bit, reduce. 15 and 25 have common factors, so that's going to cancel a little bit. N and n to the power of 3 have common factors, so those are going to cancel. We're going to be left with 4 goes into 12 one time, and 4 goes into 12 3 times, 4 goes into 4 one time, 5 goes into 25 5 times, and 5 goes into 15 3 times. N goes into n once, and n goes into n to the power of 3 twice. So it kind of cancels it out there. So n to the power of 1 kind of cancels this and brings it to n to the power of 2. So that is the quotient of powers, if you remember from a lesson a little bit back about exponents. So just something there, n to the power of 1 over n to the power of 3, it just kind of brings it down to n to the power of 2, okay? We simplify, so that means we take what's left over, we multiply it together, and we get our final product. So 1 times 5 times 1, and 3n squared times 3, and we're left with 5 over 9n squared, okay? So one more example of division. It's just going to be one that includes factoring. That way you see how to do it, and you're not saying that I didn't show you, because I am showing you. So same process. What we want to do is flip our second equation, or flip our second fraction, and I'm going to just combine the factoring part into this step as well for space. So when we flip, we've got a minus 2 over, we factored the 4 out of this expression here, 4 times a plus 1 times a plus 1 over a plus 5. So we flip that second fraction, okay? Then we do our cross cancellation. The only common factor we have here is a plus 1. We cancel that out, and we simplify. So we combine what's left, and we put it together. A minus 2 times 1, 4 times 1 times a plus 5. So we're left with a minus 2 over 4 times a plus 5, and that's simplified enough. We don't need to distribute that 4 out. Again, that is simple enough. We don't need to do anything else with it, all right? So I want you guys to try a couple on your own, all right? So this is, again, you guys know it's a bit on the honor system, but obviously it's going to show up. Those of you who do it and keep trying and ask questions are obviously going to do better on your tests and your quiz. Those of you who skip this part, you're not going to do so well, and you're going to be asking me tons of questions, which I would love to answer your questions if you have them, but I would like you to watch this video and try to do this on your own as well. Just like if we were in class, I expect you to do this. So here we've got 3x over 16x squared times 8x squared over 3. All right, go ahead, see if you can get this answer. Hopefully you did. And we've got x over 2. So when you cross cancel, 8x squared cancels. That would be just 1 left. 16x squared would be 2 left. 18x squared goes into 16x squared and just leaves 2. And then 3 goes into 3. That cancels down to 1 and just left with an x on the top. So x over 2. Okay. Next, we've got a division. 4d minus 8 over 2d minus 6 divided by 2d minus 4 over d minus 4. All right, see if you guys can remember the steps to do this. If not, maybe go back in the video. All right, hopefully you did get this. Remember, we're supposed to flip and factor, so we flip the second one, and it should be d minus 4 over 2d minus 4. That should be being multiplied by 4d minus 8 over 2d minus 6. Factor out what you can from these. This should be pretty easy. You can see, 2 can get factored out of this, 4 can get factored out of this, 2 can get factored out of this. Then multiply, cross cancel, and you end up with d minus 4 over d minus 3. Okay, that should have been your answer. All right, one last one. 12a squared over 5b divided by 25a over 6b squared. Okay, whenever we do that, again, remember, we got to flip this second one and multiply. All right, I'm going to let you pause it. Hopefully you get this answer. Okay, so when we flip it, we're going to be left with 12a squared over 5b times 6b squared over 25a. Cancel what you can. Not a lot that can be canceled here. That's why we have these large numbers. It's a tricky one because if you forget to flip it, you might think you could cancel this pretty easily and end up with a small one. So they do try to trick you sometimes. I'm not going to try to trick you that much, but this one is a little bit tricky. Make sure that you flip it and you should get this answer no problem. All right, if you guys have any questions, you can reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. You guys have a great rest of your day.